And I'm lucky enough to say that at this
Alex
point,
Eala just won a huge match. But what she said after that victory is what's making tennis fans look at her differently. Winning a big match is one thing, but what a player says right after can reveal a lot more than the result itself. Alex didn't just win and walk away. She said something that showed exactly the kind of player she's becoming. Stay with this video because we'll get to exactly what she said. This happened during Alex's incredible run in Washington, D.C. The result gave her another massive moment on a stage packed with some of the biggest names in women's tennis. But the win itself was only part of the story. Alex had already been tested by elite competition, match after match, with the pressure building every round. And somehow, she kept finding a way through. After the win, she was asked how she was feeling. Her answer sounded simple at first, but as she kept talking, it became clear there was more behind those words. She wasn't just talking about winning. She was talking about the experience, the people who supported her, what it means to compete against players she once watched from afar. She was also asked something else. How does she stay so locked in, no matter how big the moment gets? From the outside, it looks easy. The score close, the opponent one of the best in the world, the stakes enormous. And yet she stays composed. Alex explained it comes down to experience and preparation. Before every match, she talks extensively with her coach. She prepares for exactly what's coming. And once she understands the level required to compete with players of this caliber, she knows what she has to bring. That might sound simple, but the results show just how important that preparation has become. Alex isn't just entering tournaments hoping to make an impression anymore. She's entering matches against established stars and expecting herself to compete. And if you're discovering Tennis Hive through Alex's story, this is exactly the kind of journey we're here to follow. We're working toward our first 500 subscribers, and if you're enjoying these tennis stories, helping us get there would mean a lot. Now, back to Alex. She was also asked about her service games, how she takes control so quickly after serving and doesn't let opponents back into the point. Her answer was simple. Every game is an opportunity, especially on serve. When you serve, you start the point, and that's an advantage she tries to use whenever she can. But she also knows tennis doesn't always go perfectly. Some days you get broken to love. Other days you hold to love. That's just part of the game. Then the conversation moved to something bigger, the level of players she's been beating. This wasn't a tournament where Alex could quietly move through an easy draw. She looked at the list before it started and knew exactly what she was facing. Big player after big player after big player. That's why reaching the final meant so much. She wasn't just proud of the result. She was proud of how she performed and how she carried herself against players of that caliber. Then came a question about rankings. At this stage of her career, every win affects where she stands. So does she check constantly? Her answer was calm. She looks from time to time, but not after every match. Her reasoning, the higher you climb, the harder every single position becomes. She doesn't want to put a limit on herself or say she has to hit one number by a certain date. Tennis is a long season. Anything can happen. Health matters too. So instead of chasing a number, she's focusing on what she can control, winning more matches, and producing her best level consistently. If she can do that, she believes the ranking follows on its own. And that brings us to the moment we've been waiting for. What did Alex actually say after the win? Here's the thing. It wasn't a dramatic quote. It wasn't a bold statement about her ranking or her opponent. It was something much smaller. And that's exactly why it mattered. When asked how it felt to finally enjoy a win this big, Alex didn't talk about the scoreline. She didn't talk about beating a four-time Grand Slam champion. She talked about a phone call. Her family had watched the match, and the first thing she did afterward was call them. Not her coach, not her team, her family. They celebrated together over the phone from wherever they were watching. For Alex, that was the moment. Not the handshake at the net, not the crowd. A phone call with the people who've been with her since before anyone was watching. A lot of players, after a win this big, talk about what it means for their career. Alex talked about who she wanted to share it with. Joy, excitement, and underneath both, maybe relief, the feeling of knowing another huge test had been overcome. But even in that moment, she wasn't fully staying in it. She was already thinking about tomorrow, and tomorrow meant a serious challenge. Jessica Pegula. Alex already knew what Pegula could bring. She remembered their last meeting and explained that Pegula hits a flat, heavy ball that can make an opponent deeply uncomfortable. Alex admitted she'd felt that discomfort before, but she also remembered holding her ground, winning the second set in that match. Her approach this time? Face it head on. No excuses. No pretending the opponent isn't dangerous. Just compete. She was also asked about her second serve. It's not the fastest on a radar gun, but it's been remarkably effective. Alex explained she likes to lean on variety. Of course, she joked a 200-kilometer-per-hour serve would be nice too, maybe one day. But she isn't putting a ceiling on herself. She sees her game as multidimensional, different shots, different weapons, different ways to make an opponent uncomfortable. And maybe that's the real story behind Alex Eala's rise. She doesn't rely on one weapon. She relies on variety, preparation, experience, and focus. A year ago, a tour-level final was still a fairly new experience for her. Now she's been tested more often, and she's starting to look comfortable even when the pressure is enormous. The question isn't whether Alex can beat big names anymore. We've already seen her do that. The bigger question is, how far can she go if she keeps developing like this? Because she isn't putting a ceiling on herself. She isn't chasing one number by one date. She's just focused on the level she can produce and letting everything else follow. The young player who once watched the biggest stars of women's tennis on television is now standing on the same courts, facing them, and earning her place in the conversation. If you're following Alex Eala's journey with us here at Tennis Hive, we're only getting started. We're building toward our first 500 subscribers, and I genuinely appreciate you being part of that. Because Alex Eala's story isn't finished. Not even close. The next chapter is already waiting.